The first update we have today is centered on reality TV personality Teresa Giudice. Now, if you follow Real Housewives of New Jersey, you know Teresa is, well, a central figure. She's been pretty vocal lately, calling her own show toxic and saying it lacked comedy. But what's really interesting is how this public critique sits next to her off-camera actions and what she claims about her, authentic self, especially with all the talk about financial stuff.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's unpack this toxicity thing she mentioned. Teresa really went for it, saying season 14 got so dark. She put it down to, I think she called it a war with her sister-in-law, Melissa Gorga, and also mentioned other cast members attacking her relationship with Louise. She literally said the show lacked comedy and just became stressful, and for what? But hang on, isn't that kind of drama the point for viewers sometimes?
That's a really good point. And it's a tricky balance. Viewers do often tune in for conflict, for that authentic drama, but there's definitely a line. When it tips over into what feels like, genuine deep-seated pain or real family implosion, it can actually push the audience away. It stops being sort of entertaining drama you watch from a distance. It starts feeling uncomfortable, maybe a bit too voyeuristic. Teresa's comments really illustrate that when that war feels too real and too relentless, it maybe loses its entertainment value for everyone involved, apparently, even the stars.
Right. And that feeling of toxicity seems directly linked to her other point about her own personality. She insists the fun, real Teresa is totally different from what ends up on the show. She talks about friends, saying she's so fun to hang out with and funny. But then she adds, Teresa is around with my friends, not when I'm filming with my old cast members.
Well, it strongly suggests that the on-screen version of her might just be a reaction, a response to those very specific, often confrontational situations rather than her baseline personality. It implies the on-screen behavior is more about navigating those specific, difficult dynamics than just who she is fundamentally.
Okay, so if the fun Teresa isn't really on RHONJ, where do we see it? Because there's this other piece. Picture this. Teresa, she's 53, and she's caught on video dancing pretty wildly with Whitney Rose and Sydney. Like, the descriptions are vivid, getting down on all fours, the hair whipping, rolling onto her neck, legs behind her head, then grabbing hands and spinning. Super energetic. And this happens right when reports are swirling about a huge, $3 million tax debt she and her husband Louis supposedly owe. That's quite a juxtaposition.
And what's fascinating there, connecting it back, is how that public display, happening alongside serious financial pressure, it kind of speaks to this idea of, let's call it performative resilience. It's not just about image management. It feels like actively pushing back against a negative story. When financial issues surface, some public figures might retreat, but others, perhaps like Teresa here, seem to double down on projecting joy, maybe even carefree energy. It demonstrates this strategy public figures sometimes use to project being unfazed, projecting control, using their actions, their body language almost, as a form of PR, even if it seems contradictory to outsiders.
Right. And speaking of those financial matters, she did address them briefly on her podcast. She said, I'm not running from anything, acknowledging that old issues got pulled into the present, and she mentioned she made changes to my team.
Yeah, and that clarifies something important. Resolving tax issues, especially big ones, is usually a long road. It's complex. Saying she changed her team, that's a pretty standard crisis management move. It signals publicly, okay, I'm taking this seriously, I've got new people on it. It kind of buys time and shows a commitment, at least publicly, to tackling the problem. It demonstrates a forward look, even while dealing with past stuff.
Next, we are going to talk about a major development concerning Real Housewives of Beverly Hills star Erika Jayne, especially now that her estranged husband, Tom Girardi, has reported to prison.
Right.
So Erika Jayne admitted in new court documents that her attorney and friend Jim Wilkes actually opened and has been funding an out-of-state Brace account for her. She stated, that this Florida Wells Fargo account was just for her personal use. And as far as she remembers, Jim Wilkes was the one putting money in.
Okay.
She also made it clear she didn't go to Florida to open it herself and never used it while she was actually in Florida.
And what's fascinating here is really how these details surfaced. Ronald Richards, who's been all over this case.
Yeah, following it closely.
Exactly. He called Erika's admission part of a series of damning admissions that were, in his words, a long time coming.
Wow.
And he also threw out there that the account was actually funded by Florida residents, not just Jim Wilkes, which definitely adds another layer of questions.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. This whole admission comes basically right as Thomas Girardi, who's 86 now, started his sentence. 7 years, 3 months.
Yeah, the timing is notable.
He turned himself in on Thursday afternoon, and he's currently at the Metropolitan Detention Center at the MDC right there in Los Angeles.
And besides the prison time, he got hit with a $35,000 fine and has to pay $2.3 million in restitution to the victims.
His lawyers did try, though. They argued he should be in a long-term care facility, claiming he had late-onset Alzheimer's and dementia.
But a judge ruled last year that he was competent enough to stand trial, so that argument didn't fly.
Yeah.
Next update, we have about a pretty heated exchange on the Valley's Hawaii cast trip. This one involved Janet Caperna and Kristen Doty.
Ah, yes, the Hawaii trip.
So apparently after some alcohol was flowing on a boat, things escalated dramatically. Kristen Doty apparently muttered something about knocking Janet out.
Oh, boy.
Which led Janet to repeatedly tell other people that Kristen threatened to beat me up. And this was like right after Kristen got engaged to Luke Broderick. And Janet's detailed account of what happened really illustrates the sheer intensity of these fights. She said Kristen called her a wheelie, threatened the physical violence, and also called her a fan.
But what makes this like next level reality TV drama is Janet's response. It was jaw-dropping. She said, quote, "I would love for you to hit me.
Wow.
I would love nothing more than for jail to take away your engagement ring for the night and put it in a little plastic baggie while you sit in a cell for punching me in the face." I mean, that's calculated.
They had specific line. And we saw the reactions from the others, right? Brittany Cartwright saying, "Oh, Lordy, Lala Kent adding, y'all's group is messy."
Right.
And Michelle Sane saying, "It feels very crazy to me, like every day."
Janet didn't stop there. She claimed she tried to make peace with Kristen over the summer, tried to include her, but said it just led to rumors about my husband. And then she added that dig, "I hope every time she looks at that ring, she sees a reflection of me," which apparently got laughs from the group.
And just to add a bit more context, remember back in June, Kristen had that subtle social media reaction. A fan accused Janet of starting boast about Danny Bucco's drinking.
Oh, yeah.
And pointed out Janet's own drinking. Kristen just shared one of those hand-covering smile emojis, kind of commenting without really commenting.
Right. Shade. Next update, we have about another Vanderpump Rules alum, Lala Kent. She had some pretty candid thoughts on the cast of The Valley.
I saw this.
Speaking on her podcast, Give Them Lala, she basically threw some shade at The Valley, said it lacks deep-rooted friendships and that there just isn't enough at stake.
Yeah, and her critique really illuminates what she thinks made Vanderpump Rules, or VPR, so compelling.
Right.
She talked about joining VPR and feeling intimidated because that cast had so much history.
Right. People telling her, "You don't know us, Lala. This group has history."
Exactly. It highlights her belief that that shared past, that real connection, is key for a reality show to, really hit home with viewers.
And now she seems to be kind of turning that same idea onto the people on The Valley who weren't on Pump Rules, implying they don't have that same foundation. I mean, The Valley does have Kristen Doty, Brittany Cartwright, and Jax Taylor from VPR, but a lot of the others are new to reality TV, except Jasmine Good, who is The Bachelor. And it turns out Lala has her own little side drama connected to The Valley. She talked about her feud with Zach Wickham, who's friends with Kristen Doty.
Oh.
Lala said she's never had a personal issue with him, but she knows he clearly does not dig me because of things he says on, like, Bravo fan accounts. She kind of dismissed it as him beefing with himself.
Yeah, and that just brings to life that whole intricate social web, doesn't it? How these connections and rivalries exist both on and off camera, sometimes spilling between shows even if they're not direct castmates.
Totally. So her insights give us this, like, fascinating peek behind the curtain. What a veteran reality star thinks makes a show truly engaging. And for her, it really boils down to those authentic, long-term relationships.
It's a valid perspective, for sure.
Okay, next update we have about Real Housewives of Orange County star Tamra Judge. She recently made some remarkably frank admissions about her role in stirring the pot for the show.
Oh, Tamra.
Yeah.
She's never shy.
Right. On the virtual reality podcast, she teased something dark and explosive for the season 19 finale. Something she claims has, quote, never happened in the history of Real Housewives.
High praise, or maybe high stakes.
She added, everybody's in shock. Some people are crying, some people are just in disbelief. So building the hype.
But this kind of tease immediately raises that perennial question, doesn't it, about the line between organic drama and stuff that's, well, manufactured for TV.
Exactly. And on her own podcast, Two Teas in a Pod, she basically admitted it. She said, I'm the first one to admit that I get blamed for doing a lot of things on the show and being an a-hole, and I have. I have done things just for the drama.
Wow, just laid it out there.
Yeah. She elaborated just to kind of move storyline. She said, when you become the villain on the show, sometimes you do things and you get used to doing things to make good TV, and it doesn't always land well.
Tamra even hinted that maybe a lot of her funny and outgoing and cute moments, as she put it, get edited out. She suggested producers might prefer showing her lighting people up, like they did last year, because it fits the narrative they want for her.
Interesting peek behind the editing curtain. She also reiterated she's done things specifically to stand out, but she acknowledged, when I try to play things out and make it bigger than it is, you know who comes out looking like the a-hole. Me. Her advice was, you have to be smart about it.
Her candor is pretty fascinating. It really demonstrates the strategic thinking that goes into having a long career on reality TV, and how that self-awareness, or lack thereof sometimes, impacts how the audience perceives you.
Totally.
Fans often speculate she masterminds a takedown of one housewife each season, right? And now some think newcomer Katie Janela is the target for season 19. It shows how viewers engage with this meta-knowledge of how the show might work.
Yeah, exactly. Her admissions really clarify those often blurry lines between what's real life and what's entertainment production. It gives you a kind of deeper understanding of the deliberate crafting that can happen behind the scenes.
It's a whole different layer to watching the show.
Definitely is. Next update we have about a huge player, Netflix. They're making a pretty significant splash, announcing a whole new slate of reality TV shows, some new, some returning.
Yeah, this is big news in the streaming world.
And it seems to signal a real strategic shift for them. They hired Jeff Gaspin last year as their new VP of Unscripted, right?
Yeah.
And he apparently said he wants to focus less on, quote, cable-style shows, think Bravo, and more on broadcast-style shows, like Building the Band, which is airing now, is supposed to be an example of that.
Exactly. Gaspin's pushing for that broader appeal, less the niche, high-drama, character-focused stuff maybe, and more formats that pull in bigger, wider audiences like competitions or big dating shows. And the variety of new shows they've greenlit really depicts this new emphasis.
Okay, like what?
Well, Simon Cowell's leading a singing competition.
Oh.
Simon Cowell. The next act. Makes sense.
Classic broadcast style.
Totally. Then in dating, Harry Jowsey got his own series, Let's Marry Harry. And Nick Viall and Natalie Joy are hosting Age of Attraction, which sounds interesting. Singles aged 22 to 59 dating without knowing how old the other person is.
Okay, but they're not totally ditching the cable style, you said.
No, not entirely. They announced 2 new series that sound much more like, well, Bravo shows, members only. Palm Beach coming late 2025, and Calabasas Confidential in 2026.
Okay.
Both are described as following women in these high-stakes hierarchies of America's most rarefied social circles. Particularly Palm Beach sounds very Bravo-esque.
Got it. So they're trying to cover more bases.
Exactly. This whole move demonstrates Netflix's commitment to capturing a really wide audience with diverse formats. It clarifies their strategy for competing hard in the unscripted space, trying to hit multiple demographics.
And good news for fans of existing shows a ton are coming back with actual dates.
Let's see.
Love is Blind UK Season 2 is August 13th. Love is Blind Season 9, the US one, October 1st. Selling Sunset Season 9 on October 29th.
Wow, busy fall.
Yeah. Squid Game. The Challenge Season 2 on November 4th. Selling the OC Season 4 November 12th. And Owning Manhattan Season 2 on December 5th.
But interestingly, some other big names seem to be in limbo, right? Like The Circle, Selling the City, Too Hot to Handle, no news on those yet.
Right.
Which might suggest they're consolidating a bit, or maybe just shifting focus as part of this new strategy.
So yeah, this information really sets the scene for what reality TV's future looks like on one of the biggest platforms out there. Seems like a mix of broad appeal and some targeted high drama stuff.
A diversified portfolio, essentially.